Hey guys, it's Kat and I'm back today to do a get ready with me. This one is a little bit different. I sort of want to play with different, like particular tones. And I asked on Instagram if I was to do like a monochromatic sort of get ready with me, what color would people want to see? And we've got here 54% of people would choose burgundy. The other option was purple. It lost. We're doing burgundy, which is cool because that was the one that I was sort of like thinking about when I thought about this idea. I've come across some cool lipsticks and stuff recently, and I've been talking about this burgundy liner that I love, and I mentioned it in my favorites and all that kind of stuff. So let's try to make a burgundy, I'm thinking burgundy glowy face, if that's possible, because I want a bit of a glow. It's winter, it's cold, it's crap. I want a bit of a glow. So yeah, sort of burgundy, reddy, peachy, not peachy, but like pinky tones. I'm doing that today. Okay, on my face, I've got skincare, I've got sunscreen, but I've got no makeup, obviously. And I'm gonna put on this Smashbox primer oil. So it's supposed to nourish, it's got a bit of fluff on it. But I have only used this once, but I thought, look, it might be a good thing to try. It's winter, my skin's a little bit drier than normal. I do have oily skin, but I also understand the importance of oils. So if you put oils on your face, you generally don't produce as many oils. So this is a kind of a cool way to sort of nourish your skin, and it's got like a herbal scent. I did use this, I think, was it yesterday or the day before? I've only used it a couple of times, but look, I like get ready with me's because it kind of shows, oh, that sort of peels my sunscreen a little bit, not much, but a little tiny bit, so be careful. So I like get ready with me's because they sort of demonstrate products that I've been using or that I'm trying currently, and I can give you sort of either first impressions, opinions on them, or I can update you on things that I have spoken about previously like this, and let you know what I actually am thinking about it after I've used it many times. So like, for example, these naked skin things, foundation and concealer from Urban Decay, I'm not planning on doing a review, so it's a good way for me to do mini reviews as I go. Also, if you watch my content, you'll know that I usually like to do foundation wear tests or lipstick wear tests, and I haven't been doing that recently. I've discussed that I have not had a heater, and it's super cold, so it's really hard to get motivated and up and running early enough to do really long lipstick wear tests or really long foundation wear tests. They usually have to start them pretty early, so I've just been starting my day much later because it's so cold. So yeah, that's what has sort of been missing on my channel recently, but as soon as I get heaters installed, it'll be fine. Anyway, let's go in with these. So I've got my primer oil. It's the only primer I'm going to use. Naked Skin Foundation by Urban Decay. This is in the shade 2.0, and the matching concealer, which is in light warm. So these are the shades I'm going for. I'm just applying that with a beauty blender. Now, okay, so I have used this quite a bit recently, and I did do an Urban Decay get ready with me. It was the first time I used this. I'm going to say I like this foundation. I do find you need to use a lot of it. That was like, oh, dropping the lid. That was like 3 pumps, and do I have my mirror? Why do I always do this to myself? All right, so I find that with this foundation, since it is very runny and it can absorb into your sponge like super quickly, you need to use quite a lot of it, which sort of annoys me because it's not a cheap foundation, and I find that foundations where you need to use like 3 to 4 pumps, you can use up a foundation within maybe like 6 weeks, a month to 6 weeks. So once again, I'm going back in with more because this is so runny and the pump is quite small, that you got to be quick with it, otherwise it absorbs straight into your sponge. And you know, people will be saying use your hands. I don't really want to use my hands right now. And I also find that, you know, this does absorb into a brush, but I also find that brushes apply this foundation really streaky. So I really like the effect of this foundation. I really like how it wears. I've had no issues with wear time. I'm happy to wear this all day, like especially when we film beauty news, we sort of film all day. And this foundation, I think the color matches me really well for winter. I think I like the amount of coverage. You can see it sort of covers everything that it needs to cover. But it sort of still looks like healthy skin. But the only downside is that it can be applied quite streaky if you don't use a sponge, and if you do use a sponge, it absorbs the product really quickly because it's really liquidy, and also you use a lot of it to like spread over your whole face. So yeah, that's the only downside to this foundation. Same as the concealer, this doesn't blend. It picks up a lot with if you're using like a brush or something. I think this applies best with your fingers, like if you blend it with your fingers, but because I'm filming right now, I don't want my fingers all gunky, so I'm going to use the same sponge. But I do find that this, it can be a little bit patchy if you don't apply it the right way. Now I'm going to just put some around the redness on my nose. I've got this little like mark here that's annoying me. Yeah, concealer, we're concealing all our problems away. So just on the same sponge. But yeah, if you use a sponge like this, like a damp sort of beauty blender, I find it applies it the best that you could possibly, or both both products the best. I do find, like I said, this concealer works really well blending it in with your fingers, but I think a sponge gives it a good sort of finish. Let's just hurry this up. Okay, even saying that, the sponge has lifted the concealer a little bit where it's looking a little bit patchy. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit more. So I've already dropped this concealer onto the ground as well as my mascara. So good times, good times. I'm having a really good run today. This concealer looks quite yellow compared to the foundation, which is quite annoying as well because they're designed to be paired together, and I feel like the concealer is a little bit too dark for the foundation, which is not great. I much prefer this foundation with like Tarte Shape Tape. I don't even know why I'm showing you the concealer today. Yeah, the concealer's not bad. I just feel like it should work a lot better with the foundation since it is the same range. And if you look on the Urban Decay website, this is the shade that is supposed to match the foundation. I'm not feeling it, so I'm gonna go back in with the foundation. I much prefer the foundation over the concealer. That's what it comes down to. I'm just taking a little bit and I'm just gonna blend that in a bit better because I feel like I'm looking a little bit jaundiced under the eyes. And it's not, yeah, it's not good. I hate to do this, but I don't think that was blending well, and I think it was too yellow, so I'm going in with my Tarte Shape Tape concealer. This is in light. This is a little bit too light for me. This is like Dead of Winter shade, but it will help sort of, I don't know, fix whatever's going on. The concealer didn't apply very well. I don't know if it's the primer oil. I haven't used it with the primer oil before. The concealer's not usually this bad and problematic. The foundation, like I said, is way better than the concealer. And here you go, Tarte Shape Tape is, okay, it's probably too full coverage of what I was after today. But it's definitely doing a much better job, and it's hiding all the sins from the Urban Decay one. Okay, so that was definitely saved by the Tarte Shape Tape. Yeah, this concealer is a little bit temperamental. Temperamental is probably a good word. I don't know if it didn't mix well with this, or it just wasn't very happy today, or I used too much, but usually this is not too bad, but today it was not good. So yeah, I much prefer the foundation over the concealer, but I would pair it with Shape Tape. Okay, so for this video, I did ask people on YouTube if they had any questions or topics for me to talk about just while I was doing my makeup, because otherwise I'm sitting in silence talking about crap. And there was a bunch of questions. Okay, Annette's Makeup Corner asked best advice to someone who's just starting a YouTube makeup channel. I'm gonna actually be a cop-out and direct you to a video that I did on Beauty News, which was Wine Time, which is like our sort of podcasty kind of chatty thing, and we did a whole video about our tips for YouTube channels. So whether you're a smaller one, a sort of intermediate one, so that's got all the information that I could possibly guide you on. So I would just direct you there. Gemma asked, how do you stay fit and healthy? I need some motivation, man. I need some motivation, man, too. You are assuming that I am fit and healthy. I am not. I find this really funny. Like, people are always like, oh, can you give tips on healthy eating, or can you give tips on makeup organization? I'm like, that is assuming I eat healthy and I'm organized. If you saw the room around me, I ain't no organized. I am a mess. My life is a mess. Not that bad, but yeah, I am struggling. It's winter and I work from home, so I'm sitting on my ass most of the time. Also, look, I'm going to chat about this while I put on my Coty Airspun powder. This powder's not bad. I don't think it's as good as some of the higher end ones, but it's also a lot cheaper, but it does the job. Like, it sets your makeup, but at the same time I much prefer like the Too Faced one, or even the Laura Mercier ones. I find them to be just a little bit more flattering on the skin. This one just does its job, which is what I'm going for. Yeah, so I would say that, yeah, I work from home, and I would say that I'm a little bit of a workaholic where this under eye business is not going well. I would say I'm a bit of a workaholic where I wake up and the first thing I do is like check emails and check things and do things. When I'm still in my pajamas, I sit at my computer and I start doing work, and then I will have a coffee, I'll go have a shower, get ready when everything I feel like is sort of under control, and then I go back to work. And often I'm on my computer until like sometimes 2 a.m. So I would say that I'm not a good example of a fit and healthy motivation or inspiration, because I am not any of those. I am a bit of a workaholic, and being that means I sit on my ass a lot, which is not good. I used to go to the gym a lot when I was at uni and when I was studying, and I was a lot fitter and a lot healthier, but sometimes I like to use the quote from Real Housewives of Melbourne. I think it's Chica's quote. She says, I think her quote was, "You can have it all, but not all at once." And I totally agree with that. You can't be fit, healthy, work a lot, also have a healthy balance with your friends and your family, and you're this and you're that, and a lot of money and a lot of this, and you can't have everything at once. It's just too fucking hard. There's not enough not enough hours in the day, but there's also you don't have enough energy to do everything. So I try to do the best I can, and right now my focus is work. So you know, I might go to the gym later, but that'll probably be the only time all week. So there's that. And no, don't ask for a makeup room tour, because it is a mess right now, and until I get a heater in here, it ain't going to be organized anytime soon. Okay, I'm going to go on to eyes and brows, but before we do, I got a question. Do you think it's more difficult to be an Australian YouTuber trying to keep up with the beauty community in the US, with our product release dates being so behind theirs, and the long wait time on international shipping? It's a good question. I'm going to discuss that, but I'll discuss what products I'm using first. And if you do miss the products I'm talking about, I'll list them down below. But I was actually going to film my project pan today, but I am so close to finishing a lot of products that I'm going to do it next week, because I think the 1 week will make all the difference. I'm hoping anyway. So this is a project pan product. It's a MAC paint pot in Utterly Becoming. It's a limited edition shade, but very similar to Painterly if you wanted it. And I do have Painterly that I'll use after this. And I'm putting quite a lot on because I want my products to stick, but also I'm trying to use it up. So let's do it. Okay, is it difficult being an Australian like beauty YouTuber because of the delays and the products not being released and all that kind of stuff? And I'm gonna say yes and no. It depends on what look, no, I'm going to say ultimately yes, it is harder, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible. Oh, it's a hard one. I'm actually delving into my Inglot palette. This is a palette that I haven't used for a while, but I want to give it some love. But because I'm doing my 1 month, one palette kind of series, I haven't been able to use this. But the palette I'm using this month is all shimmers, so I need to reach for matte somewhere. So I'm sort of going like these sort of colors here. I'm going to set my primer with that color. I might go into these in the crease, that one as well, to deepen. So that's sort of the mattes I'm going to be using. Maybe also this color there, which was a sample. I will put the colors in the description box below. They'll be like cream, taupe. If I use that, that is, I don't know, transition, something, something, burgundy, dark purple, sort of, yeah, but I'll put them in the description box below. Yeah, so it is hard, I think. you know, the US market has a lot more products than we have. Also with these sort of these like the tax happening at the moment with like GST applying to stores, there are a lot of websites that are now not going to ship to Australia. For example, Morphe. So if we do want any Morphe products, we need to have them available on Adore Beauty, and often like the releases take months, like the new releases take months to get on Adore Beauty. So I feel like there is definitely limitations when it comes to getting new products and having access to new products. Actually, while I'm here, I'm going to do my brows because they're woeful, and then I'll be able to zoom in a bit more. I am actually going to try to go burgundy brows because I'm committed to the cause. So I'm going to mix this shade here with my normal brow powder. And the normal brow powder that I've been panning is this one here. So it's Anastasia Beverly Hills Dark Brown Brow Powder Duo. I've sort of been trying to pan that lighter shade. So yeah, I think if you're a review channel, sort of like my channel a little bit, it is definitely hard. Because yeah, you don't have the products, and when you do have the products, it's sort of like become, look, so the problem is if you're a review channel, especially if you're a small review channel, the way to get some new views is to review things before anyone else. Now that's almost impossible to do because in Australia, we get things much later than everyone else. So yeah, you've already lost the battle if you're trying to do that. Now, one thing I've learned, and I always struggled with that on this channel, I was like, I want to get the newest thing as soon as it's arrived. I want to test it. I want to do a comprehensive review. And I want to, like, you know, I want to be on top of my game. So it's a lot, so people can find my reviews essentially. Now I've sort of since learned that that's not the way to grow a channel. It is a way to grow a channel, but you're more inclined to get people that click on the review, see the product in action, see your review, and then move on. You might get some people that have actually clicked on it and subscribe, but that's actually not a really great way to get a new audience. It's a way, but not the best way. It's also a very expensive way to do it. So I tend to not recommend that to people because you're always buying new stuff, and just based on our location, and yeah, shipping times take longer. So even international websites that do ship to Australia, so for example, let's say, I don't know, lime crime product. If you order a lime crime product the second that it actually releases, you're still behind because it's going to take an extra week to ship to Australia than in the US. So I don't recommend that as a way to grow your channel. It's too costly, it's hard to maintain. I'm just going with that burgundy color. It's hard to maintain, and it becomes really stressful and also financially stressful to do it that way. So I would say don't do that. If you're good at, like, I don't know, if you've got a good personality, like I just think of someone like, I don't know, Simply Now Logical, Christine. She's got a really great personality, which sort of made her nail videos stand out from other ones. It wasn't the fact that she had products earlier than other people. It was her personality and the way she edited it and her humor and some of the ideas that she was doing that actually got her the recognition that she's got now. And I think that's probably a better way to go than just trying to review new products, because like I said, that becomes financially very expensive. YouTube channels don't make much money, so you don't actually ever make that back unless you're a big channel. And I don't know, it just becomes frustrating and stressful. So I wouldn't actually do that. I would focus more on interesting content ideas. All the channels that are smaller at the moment but are growing have a point of difference, whether it is like that they love really colorful eyeshadow looks and they love experimenting with things, or they're creating dupes of certain palettes that are out in the market with existing stuff they've got, or they're talking about really topical things, or they're talking about anti-consumerism and what they're not going to buy. Like, all these things don't require having the latest product. It requires you to have the latest product knowledge, so be aware of these things that are coming out, but you don't actually have to have them to review them. So I think that is probably a better way to grow your channel. I'm actually going to dip into some of the dark purple as well, because this is looking very red, which is fine, but I want more burgundy. But yeah, it is a hindrance if you want to be a strict review channel. But if you do want to be a strict review channel, I would say that I wouldn't actually worry about the US releases. I think probably a bit, if you're actually looking at unique reviews, I would go, if you're based in Australia, I would talk about the new releases that Australis is releasing or Chi Chi is releasing. So even though we've got a smaller population and you're not going to tap the US market with those videos, you are going to get a following, and you are, as soon as someone searches the newest Australis blah, there's going to be very little reviews on it because everyone's focusing on the latest Tarte palette or the latest Fenty palette. So I definitely think, you know, being in Australia can be a hindrance if you're starting a makeup channel, but I think that's only a hindrance if you're stuck in the pattern of, if I review new products or feature new products and spend heaps of money on trying to get the products here like before anyone else, then that's going to grow a successful channel. It's more than that mentality that is going to hinder you than the actual products. So I wouldn't recommend doing that at all. I would just recommend being a little bit more inventive and trying things, relying more on your personality and your knowledge rather than having physical products that, yeah, are new and current. And also the problem is that no matter if you are in the US or if you're in another country, the bigger YouTubers always get the sneak peeks anyway. So they will get a collection before it's actually released. They'll put up a video, and no matter what someone searches, those will be the top videos that pop up anyway. So yeah, it's not so much a limitation just in Australia, it's a limitation in general. And yeah, it's something that it's a waste of time trying to chase that unless, yeah. All right, burgundy brows look quite bold, but with eyes, I'm sure it'll be fine. Because right now I don't have eyes. Let's zoom in. Okay, a few more questions. What's one makeup trend you hate or wish did not exist? I would probably just say, look, makeup trends don't really bother me. You can do whatever the fuck you want with your makeup, but the things that kind of annoy me are like the squiggly brows or the brows that are put together, and it's all people that just Photoshop weird shit for clicks. That kind of annoys me because it's not actually a trend, it's just people, like websites report it as being a trend, and you're like, it's not actually a trend. That's not a trend, that's a viral photo. Like, that annoys me. But trends, if you do whatever the fuck you want with your makeup. We've also got similar to like the last question or the question about the YouTube thing, is it more difficult to find makeup which is in season when releases seem to be focused primarily around the season change in the US? Okay, so I'll talk about that while I do my eyes. This is the After Dark palette. It's my 1 month, one palette for July, and I want to use this color in there. So this sort of burgundy color there. I'm trying to use a different color like a day and then start mixing them together, but that one is the one I'm doing today. Okay, so I reckon, you know, it is difficult getting things in season because it's not so much that it's US based, it's just that it's Northern Hemisphere based, which is the biggest hemisphere, has most countries, most population. So like, I understand why everything is sort of focused on that. And it doesn't, like, it's all of Europe, it's all of, like, you know, so many people have right now they're in summer, whereas I'm in winter, but we're in the vast minority that are in winter. So once again, doesn't really bother me. But I think also it does mean that we often get summer things released in winter. But at the same time, going back to that last sort of question, it's better to have it released when the US and when Europe's releasing it, rather than 6 months behind, because that's before the internet, well, not before the internet, before YouTube and before the beauty community online. That's what a lot of brands did. Most brands would actually delay the release for 6 months to have it sort of coincide with the correct season. But I think these days they can't do that because people are like, well, I want this palette too. Where is it? I want it while it's relevant. I want it while it's still interesting. So now with like globalization, they've got to pick one season to release everything in. And I understand why we're getting sort of like beachy things right now instead of winter things. But at the same time, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I use whatever makeup I want to use anytime, and there's generally like heaps of variety in what's being released, heaps of variety in lipsticks that are being released. Like right now, the Bite Spice collection can be used winter or summer, and that's their summer collection. So it doesn't bother me so much. It's probably better to have it released in the wrong season than 6 months behind. But yeah, don't get me wrong, there's definitely brands that are releasing things 6 months behind. It's just better if they release it on time. Anyway, I'm gonna go in with, I might go in with this cool color and not this color. I'll go in with the cool color and then I might work into these colors here. Okay, we've got a question. What's a makeup habit you used to do that you look back on and cringe about? I'm going to say that most things I did, I sort of cringe about. This is that cool transition color. Ooh, it works well with it. Yeah, I'd say most things back in the day I look back and I'm like, oh Jesus. I never used to do my brows, and I have very sparse brows, so you can imagine how that would actually look. I don't know. I think I started doing winged liner very, very early on. So winged liner for me is something that I sort of discovered through mimicking magazines really early. So that I sort of got that down pat pretty early. But yeah, the no brow thing, I think just makeup in general in the like early 2000s was hideous. I'm just going in with that dark purple color, if you can see that, just going in there. Yeah, makeup from the 2000s was hideous. Everything was bad about it. But at the same time, we didn't have YouTube to kind of hold our hand and teach us what products work and what products are for. And I remember even back when I was around 20 or yeah, 20, 21, I think I was about 21, I used to go out with a couple of friends and one girl was like, I don't know why my eyeshadow keeps creasing in there. And I'm like, I don't know. Primers were not a thing. We didn't know what the hell primers were. So I'm going in with that red color. So these are all things like you learn through tips from makeup artists. And then that sort of translates to tips to makeup enthusiasts, and then everyone just starts knowing these tips as though they're common knowledge. So yeah, everyone's makeup these days is way better than it was before, but you know, we were ignorant. We had no other means to find this stuff out unless you went to a counter and had a makeup artist do makeup on you and you watched the whole process and they explain it. Unless you took a class, you didn't know about anything. I never used to take eyeshadow up into the crease. I always thought eyeshadow was just on the lid. So these are just things that, you know, live and learn. And I'm not going to say that, like, you know, things did look hideous, definitely. But, you know, we had no other choice. So, you know, I feel bad for us, but, you know, luckily we didn't have Facebook. So yeah, that's just a blend of like the red and that purple. And I'm going in with a little bit of that red on the lower lash line. Okay, I'm just going in with that a shimmery shade from the After Dark palette just to intensify that a bit, since that is supposed to be the main color. I'm just going to blend that out with that cream shade that I set my my base with. I do want to say though, I think probably one of the most recent trends that I personally don't love, and I did try it for a while and I did try to trick myself into thinking that it looked good, but I really hate that strip of highlighter that, like, people are still doing it. People are like glowing from the for the gods and all that kind of stuff. I personally think that looks really bad, and I think on my older skin, it just does not look good, and it makes, I don't know, I just don't like it. So I still love highlighting, but I don't think it's as flattering as people think it is. It's not very good. But once again, do whatever you want to do with your makeup. It's not my face, not my business. Okay, now we're going in with eyeliner, and I'm using my Inglot Gel Liner in 65. It's this beautiful burgundy color. I think it will go well with this look. It sort of matches the brows, and I could use this as a brow product, but it's so pigmented that I'd have like major block brows. So I thought a powder would be better. Okay, and this is a really good time to answer Sam's question of how do you feel about simple eyeliner without a wing? Is this something you've ever worn? Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate why I use a wing. I will demonstrate right now. So if I wear eyeliner, I always wear it with a wing, but if otherwise I don't wear eyeliner. I'm fine with not wearing eyeliner. Half the time I'm not wearing eyeliner. I've just got like a wash of color on my eyes and then some mascara. If I'm wearing this much eye color, I will always wear a wing because I find that my lashes are pretty shit and they don't really stand out from this much makeup. But a simple wash of like gold or champagne, I would not bother with eyeliner. But I'm going to show you why I always put a wing. So I will use this beautiful burgundy color, which I love so much. And I'm just going to put that on my lash line. And I'm going to copy, like I'm going to go down where my eyes are. And tidy that up. Okay, then I'm going to do the other eye with a wing. And I learned how to do a wing pretty early on. Now, I think it was just sort of playing around with makeup. So back in the day when I was in high school, we didn't, like I said, we didn't have tutorials. We didn't really know how to do makeup. So it was just about trial and error. And I would literally just be in the bathroom putting eyeliner on and see what shapes work for my eyes. So I will do a wing now to show you what I'm talking about. And ignore my nails, they're a bit stained at the moment and they're a bit like shit. So I'm trying to have a few days where I'm just putting treatment on them. So that is what I'm doing. Okay, I've just brought the lights closer so you can sort of see. So this is with a wing, and I know it's not super easy to see because it's like burgundy on burgundy, but you can see that my eye looks quite lifted in this one here. So it kind of goes, my eye shape goes up like this. This one, my eye shape goes down because I actually have downturned eyes and I have also a hood. So if I relax, you can see that I've got the hooded thing and I've got downturned eyes. And that makes me look very sad and sleepy and sort of like sad and sleepy. So I don't like the look of that. I look like I'm about to fall asleep and it just looks like it doesn't look good. Whereas if you look like this, even with the bit of a hood, all of a sudden your eyes look a lot lifted and the shape is a lot more flattering in my opinion. Now this is my eyes, not everyone's eyes. I'm not telling everyone to put wing liner on every day, but I would much prefer to look like this than this. This is not flattering in my opinion. This is flattering. So I don't use eyeliner just on my lash line because my lash line droops down and that's not a shape that I personally like. It's not a flattering shape. So I use a wing to lift my eyes and that's a trick that works really well. It's a trick that I've been using for literally 15 years. As soon as I started playing with eyeliner and doing my lash line and being like, okay, this doesn't look great, how do I make it better? And then you just go, oh, wing it out a little bit, lift it up a little bit. It's trial and error and it comes down to your shape of your eye. So if I was to not put a wing on, I would just not put liner and I would use my lashes to create the lift. So I'd put a lot of lashes, like a lot of mascara on mainly the outer portion to help lift that eye. But as it is, this is emphasizing a shape that I don't like. So I'm going to correct that and show you how different it does look. So downturned, kind of sad eyes. Some people like that look, and like I said, it's down to personal preference, but personally, it's not a look that I like. It doesn't, in my opinion, look very flattering. So all I do to correct that is I continue the bottom lash line up into a bit of a line, and then I just pull that back to meet the line that I created on the lash line. And all of a sudden that looks like a nicer shape. So to answer that question, have I done liner without a wing before? Absolutely. Do I like it? No. And the only time that I would use liner without a wing is if I'm not wearing much eye makeup and I use a brown like this and I just like tight line and waterline. So yeah, the only other time that I'll use any form of liner without doing a wing line is if I'm just tight lining and waterlining to make my eyelashes look thicker. That's the only time, but yeah, otherwise, no. Okay, so I am going to use black mascara just because I don't have burgundy mascara and I sort of, you know, I want this to be a wearable look as well as a monochromatic look. So I'm just using the L'Oreal, what is this? False Lash X Fiber. This is just the one side. I like this side better than the two side, so I just kind of going with this. So yeah, if I'm not wearing winged liner, I sort of really try to emphasize the outer lashes and I try to create that natural lift. So yeah, if I'm not wearing liner, I'll just go ham with the mascara. But yeah, any liner, like I said, It's got to be help the lift. And even if like winged liner is not in trend, it is something that I'm always going to do because it's flattering for my eye shape. And I feel like when it comes to trends, trends come and go, but the things that are actually flattering to a lot of people, they never go out of trend. Like people aren't saying wing liner is dead or anything like that, because wing liner for a lot of people, you know, corrects eye shapes and makes like your eyes look a lot more flattering. So yeah, those trends aren't actually trends, they're techniques. They don't go out of style because they work, and that's why I continue to do it. So even if it was, you know, trendier to not have a wing, I will still continue to rock the wing because that's what flatters my eye shape. And makeup is all about making something work for you rather than copying what works for someone else. All right, I'm not going to put inner corner highlight. I actually don't really love doing that, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to zoom out. All right, Karen was more about the get to know you. So just wondering how you got into makeup, what you do for a job, where you are in Oz. All right, so while I answer those questions, I'm going to do the face. This is actually a bronzer that is a YSL old product, and it's called the highlighting powder for the Complexion. Now, if you see it, that is not correct. So I don't know, this is from years ago, but if you open it up, it is like a bronzer, but it's more of a rosy tone bronzer. So it's not like a beachy bronzer. It's more, I think, more ready. Okay, so to answer those questions, I am in Melbourne. It is very cold at the moment. What was the other questions? How did I get into makeup? So I've always been a big fan of art and painting. When I was in high school, I used to come home every day and I used to paint. I really loved art. I'm just using this to sort of warm up my face without, like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, so I used to paint a lot when I was younger. I loved art. When I was in my final sort of years of high school, I sort of stopped doing art as much because I wanted to focus more on like sciencey subjects to get into like the university courses that I sort of was interested in. So art sort of took a back burner for me, and I think I sort of replaced that with makeup. So I sort of started getting into makeup around that time. I also had pretty like bad skin, so I used to, need to cover it, and I was sort of like a little bit emo. I like the black eyeliner and stuff. Yeah, so looking back, I think I actually got into makeup not only to boost confidence and feel better and have some control over the way I looked, which I think is very empowering about makeup, but especially when you're a teenager, like to be able to make yourself feel better by putting on like an eyeliner or putting on a foundation or something is very, very important. But I also think that because I think looking back, in hindsight, I probably replaced my love for art and painting with my love for makeup. So I never became a makeup artist, but it sort of filled that void. Anyway, I'm putting on this blush. This is a Rocky Horror MAC collection from a few years ago. It's called Crazed Imagination. It's a frost, and I like to call that the burgundy. Do you call it burgundy? This one, I hope it works well. I'm just putting on the brush that I had the bronzer on. Yeah, so that's sort of how I got into makeup, and that's how I sort of like, it's my creative outlet, I guess. It's quite a firm blush. So it's, you don't pick up too much, which is good, because with that color you don't want to pick up too much. Let's just put a little bit more. You don't want to look like you've got a bruised face, but this is beautiful for like deeper skin tones and just sort of like that sort of tone as well, that sort of plummy tone, but that's very, very subtle. All right, and as like a blush topper highlighter, I do want this face to look a lot glowier than it is. I'm actually going to use this Wet n Wild. This is the Don't Flutter Yourself Baked Blush from the, what was it called? Flights of Fancy collection, that was it. Memory kicked in eventually. Now this is a baked blush, but it can be used, I like it sort of as a blush topper or as like a glowy highlighter. This is now available in Australia, so the store Glam Raider, which I'll link down below, now stocks limited edition Wet n Wild. So up until recently, Wet n Wild wasn't available in Australia legitimately. Now it is, and Glam Raider has these limited edition packs, so or collections. Okay, I'm just going to use whatever brush. I'm reusing brushes that I've used before. Yeah, so also you're asking about, so I'm just putting this like all over. Blush, sort of blush topper slash highlighter, and lately, since I've been into more of a glow than like a strip of highlighter, I've been liking to bring it up around. So it gives a glow to the face and it gives a glow to areas that aren't oily. So I do have oily skin, so my T-zone is very, very oily. So I sort of like to use a glow all over the blush sort of area and then onto the temples that aren't oily, just to kind of continue that glow. So it makes it look like your face is glowing, not just one strip on your face is glowing for some weird reason. And then just a little bit on the nose, but I try to avoid the T-zone mainly area because that produces its own glow. Let's put it out there. But yeah, you can see that hopefully you can see it produces a nice sort of glow. It's pretty. It's a pretty product. And the question about my job, I think I mention this whenever I do these sort of videos, people ask. Back in the day, I was a sleep scientist. Then I studied law and I became a lawyer. Technically, I am still a lawyer, but recently the job that I was doing, which I was sort of job sharing with someone who had come back from maternity leave, that has sort of run its course. So I was doing that for the past 18 months, I think, since towards the end of 2016, I was sort of doing that, and now they don't need me there anymore. So now I'm just focusing on YouTube and not this channel, because this channel is just sort of my hobby, but beauty news is becoming a bigger channel now. And it's starting to get to a stage where, along with my savings and along with some of the earnings that we get from there, I'm making my way. So we'll see where that goes, but I'm doing that for the rest of the year and then we'll reassess next year. All right, I think that's enough glow and stuff on the face. So let's do lips, and I'm not sure I kind of feel like I need to like carve out more burgundy face, but I don't think that will really, look, let's be realistic. That's gonna look a bit much, I think. Okay, I've got 3 lipsticks that I'm sort of tossing up between. These are both new ones from the Bite Beauty Spice collection. So we've got Crushed Chili, which is a gorgeous dark red sort of color. Maybe I'll swatch them. Let's do it. So this is Hot Chili, light pun. Sort of red, not really. Is it burgundy? I guess it's burgundy. And this is Hot Harissa, which is a little bit more orange, so probably less burgundy. So those are nice and I'm tempted to use that. Or I've got Cherried by Melt, which I've never used before. I placed a Melt order a little while ago when they had a sale, and I actually had to get this one resent out because it had arrived broken. But the customer service were great and they sent a new one out. So this is Cherried. So it's an ultra matte, but the color, oh my God. Ready for it, guys? Oh my God. It's a beautiful color. It's a super, super dark color. So I don't even know if this is gonna, oh, it's very purple. Okay, probably not this one, but this is great. Oh, look, oh, smells so nice too. Jesus. Oh, that smells great. Okay, so I don't think that is gonna work with the burgundy theme. I think we're gonna have to go with this. I'm tempted of tapping a little bit on just to add some depth. Okay, I might do that. I will do that, we'll do that. Tap it on, tap it on. I've got some concealer lips, we can hide that. Flattering. These smell really good. They sort of smell like cake, like cupcakes or something. So not like vanilla, but like cake. Rub that into my dry, cracked lips. And then Crushed Chili, which is, these are a lot more hydrating. So these aren't as dry as this, but you know. Oh my God, getting it everywhere. All right, I probably should have put a lip liner on because that is not the most even, but it's gonna have to do. I'm also going to take some off because I feel like it's almost too thick. I want it to be a bit more thin. So yeah, I've taken quite a lot off, but you can see that these are super pigmented, so the pigment still stays. It's just that you remove some of that sort of creaminess, because these lipsticks are very sort of the Bite Beauty lipsticks are very sort of creamy and thick, which are great, but I don't want to have to like worry about it transferring everywhere. So all right, so this is pretty much the final look, where it is, I tried burgundy theme stuff. I didn't succeed so much on the face, but I did try. I'm gonna answer one more question, which I think is interesting. So this is from Chrissy. Do you enjoy makeup any less since panning or restricting your purchases? So if you're not familiar, I do project pans. So every few months every month I sort of do a check-in, and I need to do a check-in next week. But I focus on products to use up and use up, get use out of, etc, etc. And I also am on a low buy where I am trying to buy less products in 2018, and I don't think it has reduced my enjoyment of makeup. I think if anything, like sometimes the project pan stuff can, especially when it gets to a point where you're not seeing as much progress as you want, or you're coming up to needing to do a check-in and you're like, I haven't done as much as I need. So you do tend to wear the same products a lot. But I always pick products in my project pan that are sort of like base products or primers or bronzers, that using them every day doesn't really annoy me. It's fine. So like that, I don't think that takes away the enjoyment. I think it takes away the overwhelming choice of makeup. Like if I've got a drawer full of foundations and I'm like, I don't know what to wear today, I know what I'm wearing, because I generally am wearing my project pan products. So I think it makes things a little bit more simpler, and I think the low buy, it has encouraged me to reach for other products that I've had for a while. So like these palettes I've had for quite a long time, and I haven't used them in ages. So you know, if I use it as a way to give love to old makeup that I haven't used in a while, I think it's just as exciting as buying new stuff all the time. I find buying new stuff all the time is very costly, and it's also a little bit, a little bit intimidating or overwhelming. Yeah, it's overwhelming. If you buy new stuff and you're always trying out new stuff, I feel like you never really stop to appreciate what you have. And so I don't find my low buy or my project pans, I think they're actually good, because I feel like I'm using my products that I have. I feel like I'm rediscovering the products that I have. And I like that more than just having a constant influx of new shit that I really don't need. Now I did today use a few products that are new to me. So for example, the Wet n Wild blush, and also the Bite lipsticks. Like these are new to me. These are products that I haven't used. I've only had for the past week. So these are PR products that were sent to Beauty News, and then Haley and I divvy them up and we use them. So some products I do have that are new, but everything else that I pretty much used. So yeah, I do still like using new products and testing out new products, but I also like to give love to products that I've had around for a while, and that should be used and not just ignored. So yeah, I like doing that as well. All right guys, that is my monochrome sort of look, my get ready with me burgundy makeup. I'm quite digging the burgundy brows. I don't hate it. I might do them again. I sort of feel like I need burgundy hair, but sometimes you don't. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. Thank you to everyone who left topics to discuss, questions to discuss, because that really helps me with sort of having something to talk about when I'm doing my makeup. Also, I sort of picked things that were more makeup themed, I think, this time around, and less just some random, but yeah, I'll do it again, maybe with a different color scheme. I'd love to do navy. I don't have navy liner. Maybe I need a navy liner. Maybe I need more navy eyeshadows before I do that. I kind of want to do navy. Do I have navy lips? Probably not. Shit, probably can't do navy, but it'd look cool. Anyway guys, I'll see you guys in the next one, and have a great day. Bye.